Sunny ways, my friends, sunny ways.
Your 16 seconds are up. I'm going to ask you again because nobody believes you when you say you don't know how much money your family has got from the wheat group. You've had a month to look into that. You knew you were going to testify here. Again, how much money total have your brother, mother, and spouse received from this organization? How much?
That information has been publicly shared, but I will highlight.
Well, then tell me what it is.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles sort of thing. Sorry?
The servicing costs on the debt that you're going to have to carry that you're adding to now, right?
Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn.
Where's the funds?
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean? Oh, Justin, you're awake. You made it. Have a seat. Have a coffee. You need some. Wakey time.
Let's cut that Disney Plus subscription. So we cut it. It's only $13.99 a month that we're saving, but every little bit helps.
A lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but...
Like who?
I don't know who, but...
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody. Yeah, that's all that's coming off. There's nothing else coming off, yeah. I'm not Justin Trudeau here. Let's fucking go!
Let's fucking go. Knockout!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Welcome to Friday Night Fringe here on the channel. Joining me tonight, as always, the beautiful and talented Mrs. Fringe, my wife Tiffany, sitting in. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm done. I am so done. We're going to get into a little bit of what's happened in the personal life just while we're doing the roll call. Boy, it's been a week. It has been nuts. I know we missed last week's Friday night stream merely because we were out of town.
Mm-hmm.
We were looking at houses. We thought we found, what was it the kids called it? The Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Yes.
It didn't happen. It's gone pending, but we're going to talk a little bit about how last weekend went out in Stony Plain and Spruce Grove.
Yeah.
Let's start out with a roll call. Let's see if we can get everybody in. I want to clear something real first because I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me. Sent a $1 super chat and said that's all I can send tonight. Listen, I never ask for super chats. I'm very grateful when they come in. Believe me, all the support is wonderful. Please don't ever feel like you have to donate to the channel, but I appreciate that, Mr. Meeseeks. Thank you so much. You got a $10 super chat from RC Lamoureux saying, big surprise coming. Arrests of Canadian and American politicians and bureaucrats. I could kind of talk a little bit about that tonight, or well, some coincidences that are going on. But let's get into the good old roll call. I'm going to scroll back as far as I can. Chime in if it's your first time here. Let us know. Let me know where you're watching from. Let's see if we can get, as usual, one viewer from every province in the country. We got Princess Thickness coming in. How you doing? Well, coming in from Montreal. Some things to talk about in Montreal tonight. Everybody's been sounding off in the chat already about what's happening over there. John Young coming in from Vernon, BC. The Toot of Lee coming in from Edmonton. Great to see you all here so far. Camilla coming in from Southeast Calgary. Great to have you in the stream as well. We've got where do we got here? I gotta get through quick. Sally, there's my Lisdexia kicking in. Callie Surfer Girl from Surrey, BC. Welcome into the stream. We've got who else? There's lots of chat going on. I'm trying to catch up here. Carson Sexsmith joining us once again from Slave Lake, Alberta. How is everybody? We've got Aaron Matthews coming in from Red Deer, Alberta. I'm trying to get caught up, guys. Len coming in from Northern Ontario. Welcome in. We've got Goko down in Sledgebury, Ontario, checking in. Welcome in. Reg Porter from Spruce Grove, Alberta. Again, we're going to talk a little bit about Spruce Grove, not too much, but we'll just touch base on what's happening there. We got Peter coming in from Kingston, Nova Scotia. Welcome into the stream. Where's the stream on Rumble? I've been having some issues with Rumble, so I haven't been uploading the streams there. I apologize. There's been an issue with those getting connected, I guess. I'm working on it. We're going to get things moving. Blackface Son of Castro, I'm back from my holiday in Ottawa, back here in Nova Scotia. Welcome back in, Blackface Son of Castro. We've missed you. It's good to have you back in here. Where we got here? We've got Karen coming in from Aurelia, Ontario. Welcome in. Good to see you here. We got Louise Zimmer, Regina, Saskatchewan. We got Eric in Edmonton. David coming in from Springfield, Missouri, USA. Great to see you again. Welcome in. We got Mystical chiming in from, he's trapped in the danger room, coming in from good old Calgary. Welcome in, Mystical. Good to see you. We got Master of Snatch joining us once again, guys. Good old mod of the channel. Good friend of mine. Actually, I don't know if a lot of people know this. Snatch is actually almost like a consultant on this channel. Spends a lot of time with me in the background, gives me a lot of advice in terms of content that might be good for you guys. Give Snatch a good old one in the channel or a thank you. Welcome into Snatch. It's good to have you here. As always, my friend, what do we got here? Harry Wood coming in from Risoganus, New Brunswick. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Good to have you in here. We've got Movie Collectibles coming in from Ontario. Derek Macbeth jumping in, good friend of the channel, hanging out in Calgary. Welcome into the stream. Margaret coming in from Lorette, Manitoba. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me. He's coming in from. I just love doing that. Salmon Arm, BC. It's great to have you in here. We've got Angela coming in from Martock, Nova Scotia. Christian, Red Deer, Alberta. We got Moist Noodler coming in from Edmonton, Alberta. Welcome into the stream. We've got Anne-Marie coming in from Ponoka. Welcome in as well. We've got Big from Ontario. Brett coming in, from Calgary. Recently returned back from Toronto. I'm sorry to hear that, but welcome in. Mike from Ampere, Ontario. How you doing? H with a hello, Mr. and Mrs. Fringe in chat, Ontario, Canada here. Welcome into the stream. Goko Donnie gifting 5 unacceptable Fringe memberships. My goodness, such generosity. Thank you so much. That's wow. I'm always speechless, even like if a $1 super chat comes in, because it's just I'm not used to it. So thank you. I appreciate that. Really very humbled. Thank you. Reggie coming in from Quebec City. Or Quebec City. I know people always yell at me, you don't pronounce it properly. Well, there we go.
Well, we're not from there.
Quebec. Coming in from Quebec. Welcome in. Ian, it's good to see you in from Southern Ontario. Welcome into the stream. Lou coming in from Souk, BC. Mr. Meeseeks, wow, so much support on the channel. It's amazing. It is amazing, and it's great to see you again. Thank you so much to everybody. SOS Canada coming in from Eastern Ontario. Trudeau Zakami coming in from Calgary. Good to see you in here as well. Becca's coming in from Lloydminster, Alberta. Good to see you in here again as well. Thank you for joining us tonight. We got Kay coming in from Edmonton. Who else we got here? Kim Rowe coming in from Strathmore. Dorothy coming in from Bowmanville, Ontario. I need new glasses. I had new glasses. I'm wearing my old glasses. They actually were hurting my face. They're too tight. I'm getting them adjusted, but I do need the
marks on the nose.
I do need the new glasses. We've got Ted coming in from Trenton, Ontario. Ryan coming in from Brooks. Everybody throwing ones in the chats for Snatch. Good to see there. We've got Danny coming in from Devon, Alberta. Good to see you in here as well. Robert coming in from Montreal while my kids are having. You know what's funny about my kids is that we sit them down every time we're about to do a live stream. We set them up with treats. We set them up with movies, their tablets, whatever we can. And we tell them, Mom and Dad are working for an hour. Just back up for a bit. And they always they're fine before the stream starts. And then as soon as we're live, they come out. It's always good to see. Guys, I got to get caught up with the stream. We got to get into what's going on tonight. because boy, do we have a lot to discuss and a lot to get into. Again, some personal things. We missed stream last week, and again, I apologize for that. The wife and I, again, if you have missed it, we're in the middle of a move. We kind of just randomly decided that while we were talking about perhaps the spring on moving, Calgary has turned into a seller's market. So we're in the middle of a move. We went up to Spruce Grove, Alberta, as well as Stony Plain, looked at some houses last weekend. And again, we found a really nice house. The only problem is, and again, this is new to me because this is our first home that we own that we're selling. Apparently, you got to have the house on the market, can offer, and the bank needs to do certain things to make offers. And there's a bunch of repairs at the house the real estate agents want us to do. So it's been a week of absolute chaos. But while that was going on, the house that we absolutely were determined for went pending. Somebody else made an offer. We do have other ones lined up, which is good. So we're kind of looking between Spruce Grove, St. Albert, and Stony Plain, more or less Spruce and Stony at this point. And we're probably going to be moving up there. So folks like Reg Porter, anybody in the YYC, the YEG, YYC is Calgary. Anybody in the YEG is probably getting us as a neighbor in the near future. Now, this week has been crazy because I've had a giant dumpster bin planted in my driveway as I empty the contents of all the garbage I've collected over the last 10 years in this house.
Oh, you've thrown out so many things.
We've completely decluttered. Our house is virtually coming empty while I've had painters in the house, while we've had carpet guys in the house. We've had
children
all over the place on summer break. It's been an absolute nut house. Cryptomaria, sorry, coming in with $2. You got this. I appreciate it. Mike G saying Edmonton's a shithole. I agree.
Know that, and that's why we're moving.
I agree. That's why we're going outside of Edmonton. I always said Edmonton was Canada's armpit, but yes. I mean that was because I'm from Calgary.
Yes, so we kind of have to say that.
I don't mind Edmonton, but yes, it does have its problems, just like Calgary. Linda saying you're not running for mayor in Calgary. No, I dropped out a while ago. Part of the problem being I tried to get volunteers together. We looked at the financing. We looked at the numbers. I spoke with other councilmen that I was actually working together alongside with to possibly promote my run. And the numbers just weren't going to add up. We couldn't get boots on the ground. So it kind of came to a point where I said, if we're going to get the financing from the public, from businesses to do this, it just didn't seem right in my mind or responsible to vote split and essentially waste people's money on something that we knew ahead of time wasn't going to go through. It would be a vanity project at that point. So we just said, that's not why I want to get into politics. That's not why I wanted to get into that race at all. So no, we dropped out, and we've talked a lot about family and what's important to family. My wife has been in Calgary her entire life almost, and she wants the kids raised in a small town, a smaller town.
Yes.
I shouldn't say, it's not like Spruce Grove is a small town, but it's away from everything, and it's a little less hectic.
This city has changed a lot though in the past 10 years. So
Master Snatch chiming in chat. It takes ridiculous cash to run for mayor for a big city.
Yeah.
Big league cash. Yeah, we were talking about, and now I spoke with a good friend of the channel, Keith Wilson. Even he had warned me, it's probably going to take about $150,000 or more to run a successful campaign. Plus, you need, the biggest problem in Calgary is we have a low voter turnout. So you need people on the ground door knocking in all communities, making sure that the word's getting out, the messages are getting out. It just wasn't feasible with the amount of time that we had. And again, a lot of people on YouTube, like we're sitting at almost 40,000 subscribers. People on YouTube know who I am. People across the country who have purchased our books know who I am, who have seen me on different channels along the internet. But in Calgary, I'm not as widely known as I am on the internet. So it's tough to get people on board with who I am, what I'm doing, and how we move forward, despite the fact of having Dr. Jordan Peterson's endorsement.
Yep.
I had friends like Theo Fleury saying, let's go, let's get things moving. Again, we had the arsenal to move forward, but the numbers didn't add up. And again, I'm sitting here on YouTube with a political commentary channel talking about irresponsible governments and how those things have to change. And ultimately, I looked at it and said, if it's not going to happen, no matter how hard we try at this point, statistically, should we really vote split and waste businesses' money, people's money that we take for donations? It just, to me, wouldn't be responsible. It's not the way to do things. Canadian guy with $5 super chat. You would need Dr. Evil Pose $1 million for a good campaign. Yes, absolutely. Again, I'm sorry to everybody that was looking forward to it. Again, I have given my endorsement to Councillor Dan McLean, despite having my gripes with him about fence sitting on certain topics and things like that. I do believe he's the next most capable that should be running Calgary, at least out of anybody who has knowledge of how the city works and
We hope
experience.
so.
I would hope so. But he hasn't said if he's going to run yet.
No.
So we're
But
not
you're
sure.
pretty sure he is.
Yeah, we're not sure what's going to happen, but that's how things got moving forward with our move. Again, we were planning on spring, and then the bank kind of just gave us the kick that, hey, Calgary's a seller's market. You need to put your house on the market now if you want to make the most. Our realtors, of course, said the same thing.
Yeah, here we thought we had time, and we're just being pushed and pushed to a sooner date. So it's a little bit stressful.
It went from spring to now possibly October. So it's kind of all over the place right now. So we're trying to get YouTube going as well as packing up a house, renovating a house. You guys see behind us the arcade and everything. There's a whole bunch of stuff I actually have to take off the walls, pack up. If you've seen my game room
It
or
goes down much further than what you see.
Yeah, the family room tour video that I did back in December, a lot of the shelving that I want to keep has to come off the wall. We have to repaint. We got to patch walls, all that stuff before we can even list the house. So there's just a lot going on. It's absolutely crazy. Let's get on with what's happening. So that was the personal. And again, as the move continues, the arcade may change around, the landscape of the studio may change around, but rest assured, part of the consideration
You're
of the
not
new
going to change. You're going to be here.
we're going to be here still, but part of the consideration of the new house is actually a dedicated space for YouTube.
So you don't have to roll in and out, and
it a little bit more professional.
It'll look better from your view.
Shane's saying we want to see the Man Cave video game gems. If you guys want to see that, Shane, go check out. You can go back to about December on the channel. I do a full tour of this room and all my collectibles at the time. It's a pretty cool video, and it was really neat. Daphne Divine. So they found a place. We found a potential place, and then somebody made an offer. So it's kind of up in the air. However, we have found probably 10 other possible houses. Hopefully. We're waiting to see what comes up, but hey, that's where we're at.
Still a couple weeks out before we actually place our house on sale. So
yeah, the first step is to get our house on the market, and then start getting serious about what we're going to do.
Put offers down until we're there.
So it's been a hectic week. You know where else has been hectic? Montreal. Everybody was talking about this before the stream started, and I want to share this with you guys. If you've been living under a rock and haven't heard yet, Montreal had its water main break happen. Let's cut the noise there. Here's a complete eruption going on. No, this wasn't women over the internet while Elon Musk was interviewing Donald Trump. This is a water main in Montreal going completely haywire. Now, the reason I wanted to bring this up and talk about this was because I've spoken to great extent this summer about what's happening with the water main systems in our major cities.
Well, I mean, Calgary, and then you've got one in Quebec, and then you've got one in Ontario, and then now another one in Montreal. It's doesn't seem coincidental to me.
Well, and so they're saying that in Montreal, at least speculative, that this water main break was caused by negligence. Again, not going through with inspections. We've seen that with Nahid.
Sounds too familiar.
It's last summer. It was forest fires everywhere. It was the whole country was on fire. Everything was burning. This year, water main across the country. And everybody says, Derek, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're nuts. You're crazy. You need to really settle down. It's not as bad as you're saying. Again, this could all be coincidental, but I ask you, the viewers, as Ken and RV says, how ironic. It comes down to basically what I said when I was arguing what's happening in Calgary is even if everything was legit, if the moons aligned and the planets sat in line formation and everything fit, that, hey, this was all coincidence, the government has done so much damage to people's trust
Yeah.
over the last 10 years in particular.
It's hard to believe that it
You-
is complete
You
coincidence.
can't believe a
can't.
thing they say anymore. Even if they say, look, this was accidental, we didn't know, pure happenstance, it's just bad materials, or it's just that time when they burst. Mr. Meeseeks, you aren't crazy. You're just a regular person with a brain. Well, I mean,
Wish there was more
it's not about
people
being
like that, really.
It's not about being right,
No.
but it's about saying, like, this is where people need to wake up.
Yeah, we should be questioning these things.
Billy saying water levels aren't rising, Canada is sinking. I mean, Calgary, though, the Bow River is at the highest it's been in
Well, it is. And
decades.
Yet we've got another close down in a week?
The 26th. As of the 26th, we can't use water outside.
Today, and we drive by our water park, and it is running.
Yep. So our local splash park, our local water park, that has been turned on for the summer, despite Jody Gondek saying how imperative it is we, restrict our water
But
use.
she's done the city a service by opening a few of them around the city so we can cool off.
Right. So
she's doing us a favor.
It's literally pissing rain outside, and we drive by the water park and all the water's running.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Full blast.
what's going on here? What? Like, you're telling everybody that the water, like, this is again where it goes back to the pandemic, where it goes back to, hey, everybody, we can't open movie theaters, we can't have restaurants, but you can go to Walmart and stand elbow to elbow with people, and that's perfectly safe. But you can't buy toys for your kids at Christmas because the virus hangs out in the toy aisle.
You can't buy the pretty pink boots. You can only buy the ugly black ones.
Do you guys remember that
Right?
Kean Bexty going to Manitoba? It's in Winnipeg. When I think it was Palliser.
Yeah.
Brian Palliser put in those rules that you could only buy certain essentials. So, like, kids couldn't buy like a pink winter jacket for girls. They could only buy like this generic winter jacket because I guess COVID hung out in certain aisles of the store.
Everything blocked off. Keenan Bexy bought a gift card,
a sweater,
something colorful, and he was stopped at the register.
Yeah, and told you can't buy this.
But yet he had it in hand.
Like, this is why I always question again how easily it is for people to just comply again and to get sucked in as a sheep into what the government is asking them to do. I have a video coming out this week talking about the new global pandemic that has been announced by the World Health Organization, and I don't want to say too much about it, especially on this stream, because the risk that we're taking even talking on that video is the suppression of YouTube. YouTube, just like the pandemic, they don't want you talking about these things. They don't want you mentioning them, but it all comes down to control. It's all part of the plan. At least that's the way the government makes it look. It's hard to stand back and say, nah, like, this sounds like something out of a bad movie. It's not possible. This is where we are. What will you do this time around, Derek and wife, now that you know what the evil plan is? Well, we didn't comply the first time. We didn't comply the first time. We had friends over during lockdowns. We didn't restrict anything. In fact, the only time we did restrict was when other families said that they didn't want to see us at Christmas, or they didn't want to see us during certain holidays because they didn't want to break protocol. My wife and I were pretty open during lockdowns. In fact, we would park our car in the driveway so our friend could come over and park their car in our garage, just so the neighbors couldn't squeal somebody was over. I mean, we just didn't care. I don't think you should comply at any point. I don't think you should comply ever. Derek Macbeth says it's already been mentioned on other channels. You shouldn't get a strike. It's not really how much it's been. So YouTube has an algorithm, like an AI-driven algorithm, that searches for certain words, certain phrases. So you'll notice, like, when we talk about the pandemic, I'll say things like the jab or the jibby jab, or if somebody passes away, I'll say they're unalived, or things like it, because you can't use certain words. If their AI picks up on certain words and phrases within a certain amount of sentences, it doesn't strike the channel, but it suppresses the outreach of the video. It suppresses the ability for that content to get pushed out within their algorithm, because this AI generated bot essentially says, nope, flag that video. It's not good content. Don't put it out there. That's why I always tell people when you're in the stream, which I don't know how many likes we're at by now, but excuse me, if you put a like in the stream, if you're enjoying the stream so far, that helps again to push it out there in that AI generated algorithm to say that, hey, this is something worth watching. People are enjoying this content. So we do have a video coming this week talking about monkeys, I guess. Monkeys running wild across the world in a pandemic. Those monkeys, they're pretty dirty.
They are.
They are. They're pretty dirty.
Big problem.
It's Radio Reaction. I have the same issue when they shut down truth videos. YouTube won't show it to people. And that's the problem. People always say, why don't you go to Rumble? Why don't you go to other alternative sources? Of course I want to be on Rumble. And again, I'm working out the issue with Rumble. Guys, if you want to get the reach, if you want to get people watching, if you want eyes on things, you got to just face fact that YouTube's where it's at these days. As soon as that changes, I'll leave YouTube. You know, I'm not saying that I'm not saying I'm bowing down to the YouTube censors. Part of the reason this channel was started was to get the word out, right? To get people knowledgeable on what's going on. If we get suppressed and we get it pushed down and nobody's getting the content, then there's nothing we can do about it. So I kind of trend to tread lightly. It's fun. It's a fun challenge. RC saying Danielle Smith and Kamala Harris are blood sisters. Let's not. Yeah, here let's get into Danielle Smith. We talked about Danielle Smith this week. In fact, I put out a video. You and I were talking about it.
Yep.
Danielle Smith sat on the Sean Newman podcast last week and made a comment about migrants, or not migrants, people coming to Alberta. Now, the funny thing is how this is blown up. I think it was taken out of context. Now, I will state again, as I stated in that video, we are not on Danielle Smith's payroll. We are not financially supported by the UCP.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice. Danielle, if you're watching, I know Danielle.
Far less stressed right now.
Danielle tunes in sometimes. Danny, send me a check. I'll take a check. But we, what I think happened is that she was talking about Alberta growing and its growth rate to be considered serious on the political stage for the country, for the federal government.
Yep.
That she would like to double Alberta's population. Statistically, again, I mentioned in that video that 60% of people who came here from British Columbia came to Calgary last year. It wasn't just Alberta. There's lots of people coming to Alberta for what they call the Alberta advantage. And that is, it's questionable these days with the migrants that come in.
Yes.
But essentially she said that by 2050, she'd like Alberta to be up to 10 million people. And everybody's saying she wants to bring in immigrants. She wants to keep flooding in.
That's not what she's saying.
But that's just it, is that everybody blew it out of context that she's jumping on Trudeau's bandwagon of keep the doors open.
I don't think she would ever jump on anything Trudeau says, but
it's Rose run for mayor, #paycheck. It's not about the paycheck. It's about making a change. It's what I think has happened with Danielle was it was a slip of the tongue and something taken completely out of context. I mean, look, you've got guys like, again, Marty up north, who he's a nice guy, he's a friend of the channel. We've talked with Marty a lot of times. And he even said, Danielle's crazy. She's done a 180 on Albertans. We have to question everything now. She's wanting to flood the province with migrants. I'm technically a migrant to Alberta. I came here from Winnipeg in the 90s, right? Like, I think if you're bringing people from around Canada into Alberta, and Alberta has the jobs and Alberta has the economy to support those people coming here, the housing, infrastructure, then yes, we should be expanding our population. We should be growing so that our votes matter more federally.
Yep.
Because right now, you hear it all across the province anytime a federal election comes up. Well, the prime minister has decided upon a small pocket in Ontario and Quebec. Why should I go and vote? It doesn't matter.
Yep.
If you have 10 million people in Alberta, well, then all of a sudden those votes do matter heavily. I see the chat's going crazy. Regent saying Alberta is the backbone of the country. Well, it technically is, and that's why Trudeau hates it so much. Linda saying, I agree, people take stuff overboard. If you don't know what Danielle says, you can send her an email and ask. So
yeah,
what's funny is that she went on Western Standard a couple days later, cleared the air, And people are still all over
Oh,
social media.
People always will, though. They'll always find a fault, right?
But that's what's funny is like, so look, I've seen it in social media as well. Like April Fools. You remember April Fool's Day?
Did not go well.
I like typical April Fool's joke saying Justin Trudeau is about to resign.
You were the only one that found it funny.
And I thought it was a funny April Fool's. People lost their minds. And even 3 months later,
Yeah.
even after an apology video,
You're probably still going to
3 months later, people
bringing it up now.
People are still mentioning in the comments, I was really mad at you about April Fool's Day and you're a jerk and you ruined my life. And I'm going, God, if a YouTube channel can ruin your life, maybe you should seek professional help. But I mean, it's come on, like it was an April Fool's. But what I'm saying is that when you use certain words, the internet loves to just take anything, any ammunition, and use it out of context and think the worst. Do we have an immigration problem in Canada and Alberta? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
But Danielle Smith has been very vocal about Justin Trudeau's immigration policy, about migrants coming in over the border, about how many we're bringing into the country at a time. It's what am I seeing here? I live in a neighborhood in Calgary where homes are going for 1.3 million in taxes or $6,000. Jeez. I can't Patricia's saying she wasn't talking about migrants. I didn't think that way at all.
No.
So
but a lot of people did.
A lot of people, including Marty, took to, I mean, Theo was all over Twitter saying, I'm going to the next leadership evaluation and like, we're going to question Danielle. Why is everybody jumping all over Danielle Smith for making one comment that she wants Alberta to be prosperous? Like, there's a fine line. If Danielle was going woke and saying, we need more immigrants, we need more migrants, and she specifically said immigrants, and says, open the doors, bring them in. Yes, by all means, jump all over her. But it's the same as I said in that video, until we have some clarity.
Yeah.
Like,
and she gave the clarity.
Her track record should speak for itself. I'm not going to say Danielle's been perfect. In fact, it's the same thing I said.
There's no such thing as perfect.
No, but I even said in that video, even if I like the politicians we cover, I still have to call them out
100%.
when they do questionable things.
We've done it to Pierre.
We've done it to Pierre. We do it with Danielle Smith. It's now, I reached out to Danielle's office just after filming that video saying, look, it had a good response. I think Danielle should come back on the channel, clear the air, talk about it. We're in the process of trying to get something worked out. Again, her schedule with the Jasper wildfires has been extremely busy, but there's a chance Danielle could come back on the channel, clear the air, talk about it a little bit. Again, I'm not defending a politician ever. No. What I'm defending is where we have to be careful in politics. Because if everybody starts turning on the ones who are actually fighting for a change, who are actually making some differences, again, not everything Danielle is doing is what I would say correct. But for the most part, she's making life a little bit better for Albertans, better than the NDP did.
She's trying.
It's you have to look at what I'm defending is the right not to jump down somebody's throat until you have a clear picture.
You need to have all the facts. Not just jump on, the 2 or 3 that you think you heard.
It's funny that, again, and I'm not trying to be critical of Marty. I'm not trying to be critical of it because, again, I'm friends with Marty. So if Marty's watching this later, again, sorry, Marty, I'm not judging, but even people like Marty, like what you have to realize is they have a lot of influence online. You have to sit and think, what are they talking about? If we cause division amongst our own people that are like-minded,
we're no better than anybody else.
Well, we're going to have guys like Naheed Nenshi in charge in a couple of years, and this province is going to go to hell. Canadian guy with a $5 super chat. People actually thought Smith was turning into Kathleen Orville Redbucker win. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Len saying a lot of migrants in Alberta when I visited in June. Yes, there are. So yes, I agree. There is a migrant problem in Canada and in Alberta.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason we're wanting to leave Calgary.
Oh, 100%.
It's turning into Brampton.
Yeah.
And it's not to be racist. It's just fact that everywhere I go, everybody who I deal with, whether it's a drive-through, grocery store, movie theaters,
C train downtown.
the trains downtown. They all. I have to ask them to say their sentences a couple times over because I can't understand them.
Nope.
It's Calgary isn't what it used to be.
No,
At least I don't think it is.
not at all.
I mean, you go downtown every day. What do you see?
It's changed a lot. Like I know a lot of times I get on the train and I'm heading south and you look around, you feel like you're on the wrong train.
It's funny to me that Calgary has just, well, here's Mystical chiming in. He's probably got it right on the head here. I live in Northeast. It's especially noticeable here. Well, and again, there was somebody, a lot of people. Calgary has the history. And again, this isn't me, but there's people around called the Northeast section of town. What is it? Browntown?
Browntown.
Because that's all it is.
Yep.
There, and I've mentioned it before on stream at Taradale. It's all like all their listings. It's all Punjabi and Indian residents.
And they'll refuse to sell to white people.
They don't sell to white people, and the real estate signs on the houses are Arabic.
Yeah.
Or whatever, Hindi or whatever they speak. The squiggly lines. It's there's times where I've driven around there with my old job when I was driving around all day, delivering car parts. And I used to see that and say, isn't that illegal? Like, isn't that like uncalled for?
Well,
like,
you would think a lot of things these days would be illegal, but we're diverse.
JD saying Alberta is full. I work in the oil patch. Way too many non-English speaking workers. Yeah. It's a safety hazard. Starting to get really hard to work in this environment. So I agree on those measures. I do agree on that. I do think that that's a no-no. I'm going to get into that in a sec. I want to clear up Canadian guy with $2 super chat. Nenshi would be worse than Olivia Chow.
Well, he dresses better.
I have a story coming up about Nenshi again early this week. He's been caught cheating.
Shocking.
He was caught cheating in the leadership race. He's we're going to get into Nenshi, but I want to get into what the problem is with work in this country. Carson saying, I'll donate a dime each time for each thumbs up tonight. Holy crap, Carson, that's a hell of a promise. Guys, get those likes in the stream.
Thank you.
No, just I appreciate that, Carson. Thank you so much. Let's see what happens. So again, in Alberta, I'm saying that if the jobs are here, if people are moving here from around Canada, coming in here looking for a better deal in Alberta, better living conditions than other provinces, non-woke politics. If we have the housing, if we have the jobs, I don't see the problem. If you're looking at Canada or Alberta right now, I know is Calgary. I'll use Calgary as an example because that's all I know. Trucking companies full of East Indians. And in fact, once they get into management, they won't hire anybody but East Indian drivers.
But it's not just trucking companies.
I was just about to get into that. So no, but you've seen it in oil and gas.
Yes, and but it's in stores as well. Like you walk into a Walmart, there's stores. Once they get in, they're not going to hire.
Walmart's, grocery stores, retail,
everywhere.
Again, movie theaters. Anytime they get tech companies, Best Buy.
But the trucking companies are the biggest problem because they're not fully licensed. They're going in cheaper than any other trucking company. So these companies are hiring.
They're undercutting.
And it's a problem legal wise. They're causing accidents. They're causing huge problems.
You know who else is causing problems? Ron Jeremy coming in here with a $5 super chat. Unchecked multiculturalism can lead to domestic people accepting others' religions without critical evaluation, potentially affecting cultural cohesion. You're seeing that right now in Toronto, as a matter of fact. If you follow the pleb on Twitter, you'll notice he's been posting videos of streets in Toronto being shut down so people can kneel down and pray.
Yeah.
And of course, woke mayors like Olivia Chow say, no problem. Or, it's a no problem. You can lay down and pray in the street. It's no problem.
But if you think Gondek's not going to do that.
But Jody Gondek will do the same thing. Mayors across will do it. But the problem right now is that rules are not being upheld in. So in Canada, you can't judge based on creed, sex, religion, age, gender identity. So essentially for East Indian employees to come in and say, we're only hiring East Indian workers, or East Indian managers coming in saying we're only hiring East Indian workers, That's a problem. And that's
Yeah,
where
but they're not saying it.
they won't say it, but
I mean, I used to work in recruitment, and we had companies who would say the same thing. You're not legally supposed to discriminate somebody because of those things, but we are looking for somebody, blah, 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 blah. You just don't tell the person that you're
Absolutely.
interviewing that, right? So there's ways of getting around it without seeming like you're doing it.
But as for the trucking companies, as for any of these outfits, engineering firms, you name it, it's the responsibility of the company to start coming back to these management and
It is,
saying,
but they're hiring their cousins and
you
their
can't be,
brothers and
I
their
know, but they got to,
cousins and people who are not qualified for the jobs
yes.
is the problem.
They cater to make newcomers feel welcome at the cost of our culture and values. Yes. So that is the problem. So it's kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to Danielle's comment. Yes, I think Alberta would do better if it doubled its population over time, provided we had the jobs, the housing, and the economy to support it. At the same time, something needs to be done about the migrants that are flooding in here, taking all the jobs. They took our jobs. And
You just got to squeeze it in.
just
No
to throw it in there. But the guys taking the jobs, the guys hiring their friends and
Yep.
buddies, the corruption inside of business needs to shift. It needs to change. But that's again what drove us to start looking at small town life.
Yeah.
It doesn't not exist there, but it's less common in those places, and that's why we started to move. I mean, we were amazed. I went into a 7-Eleven in Spruce Grove, and there was a white person working in there, and I said, "We're buying a house here." That's it. And I'm not being racist. We're just buying a house here because it's not like Calgary. It's not. It's RA, no mayor of Calgary in the future. We talked about that earlier in the stream. I'd go back and watch. Thank you for the super chat. I just don't want to retread the same ground, but yes, we discussed that at the beginning of the stream.
He gets in trouble for repeating himself.
I do get in trouble for repeating myself. But thank you for the super chat again. You can either go back now or go back at the end, rewatch. It was roughly at the beginning of the stream, first 10 minutes in, I'd say. But thank you again for the super chat. Kenzie Kraken saying net zero immigration and deportation of all illegals and criminals. Yeah. If anybody wants to talk about net zero, I mean, first off, what my opinion is, and you've heard this opinion many times.
Really?
Temporary foreign workers need to get out of here. They need to be sent back. I don't care if they've bought property here or whatever they're saying. That
temporary means temporary.
Yeah, it's time to go back. Pack your bags, go. All of these illegitimate schools, colleges that are bringing people over, promising them citizenship, need to be investigated, shut down. Anybody who's received citizenship from those schools should have it revoked.
Well, you were saying
home.
like some of them aren't even really schools.
They're not schools at all.
Schools on paper. It's not real.
Yeah, they just rent out a building and have people coming in to fill out their immigration forms. It has nothing to do with school or college at all. It's funny because so back in the day, a long time ago, I used to teach driving. And I remember my story about the guy who was he taught for this Asian friend of mine who left our company. Or no, he came to our company because he left another driving company teaching driving downtown in Chinatown to new migrants. And he was told by his superiors, if they fail the test, just give them a pass because we help our own kind. And he got upset saying, I can't give driver's licenses to people who can't drive, people can't pass the test.
Well, we had that friend who was offered, just pay $80 and we'll pass you, even though she clearly failed.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Canadian guy with $5 super chat. Mr. Garrison boys, can we get rid of all the illegal immigrants? We certainly can. We should. Oh, geez, Mr. Hyatt. We totally should get rid of all the illegal immigrants. I would totally. I hope so, okay? This is Mr. Meeseeks. Drugs are bad. Immigrants are bad, okay? Yeah, we should get rid of it all.
Do a whole show.
We should do a whole show in my different voices.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those immigrants, they got to get out. Get off of my plane. No, I can't. I just, they took our jobs. Oh, we minimized the screen. Hold on.
Screwing it up.
Hold
Stop
on.
it.
causing problems. Let's catch up with the chat here. Let's catch up with the chat. We don't take away people that knifed others on camera, and Mark won't take it away, he said. No, and that's part of the problem. You see what's happening in the UK right now with the uprising of Palestinian refugees, we'll say. The problem causers, I guess you could say, the illegals that are now rising up saying, well, it was other people who did these terrible things. We're just doing it for the community. And then they go and commit more crimes and say, oh, guys, it's just part of our religion. It's just the way we do things. I don't have a problem with anybody coming to this country. I don't have a problem with anybody coming here, learning our language, assimilating, getting a job, contributing to society, paying their taxes.
Coming in legally, too.
Legally. Isn't that how Donald Trump says it?
Yes, I was going to say, isn't that Trump's thing? Yes.
They need to come in legally.
Build a wall.
Build a wall.
Around Quebec.
Around Quebec and fill it with water. It looks like it's already getting started with that water main
right?
break.
Yeah, somebody.
I'm joking.
Somebody made a wish.
I'm joking. I know we got viewers in Quebec. I'm joking. But that's what we need to start saying is F off, we're full.
Yep.
We're done. And that's anybody. I'm talking even if somebody's coming from Ireland. No.
We need to start taking care of our own because we're not.
We don't have any jobs. We don't have any houses. We don't have any money for you. We don't have welfare system to support you. We're done. No mas. Shut the doors. It's over. Go home. Pack your bags. Leave. Have Jasper Sunshine at the airport saying it's over. Go home.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. That's all we need. I guarantee he can be quite intimidating. I would say just have him there and say it's over. Go home.
Good.
It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Our youth unemployment rate is 14%. It's funny you say that, Tammy, because we were talking about that. I was at, like, my kids were asking why we were leaving Calgary. And I said, part of the problem is that there's no jobs. My 25-year-old nephew still lives at home with his dad, and he's never going to be able to even get his own apartment. He can't afford $3,000 a month. He's never going to have a down payment for a house because, let's face it, he needs almost $100,000 just to have a standard down payment.
Yeah.
Who's got that kind of money laying around? I mean, that was the argument we had with the real estate agent last week. Was she said, okay, I know you're selling your house, but when you put an offer down, typically they want 5% as a backup security deposit.
Which I've never heard of.
Never heard of that in my life. When we put an offer on this house, when we bought it, it was just you give an offer and they accept or refuse.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she says, you need 5%. I says, who's got 30 grand kicking around?
Sometimes they ask for 10.
She said, sometimes it's 10. I said, we're not crack dealers. We're not, meth heads. How do we get $30,000? No, I said, I'm selling my home. I'll make it a condition. You can't just ask for more money. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that one at all.
No.
It's an invasion, making Trudeau guilty of treason for allowing it. Yes.
It should. I mean, he should be in jail for a lot of things, but.
Derek's Breaking Bad. There you go. Yeah, we're gonna start selling the blue pills. That's not the ones that give you the happy fun time, but
God.
Indians hate us. It's true. Yeah, they do. Oh boy, do they ever. In fact, I got written up one day at work. You remember that when I was given, so I used to work at a car dealership, and they had me give two Indian guys a ride to the C-train one day from the service shop. And I asked them where they were going, and the accents were thick and I couldn't understand them. So they finally just spat out where they were going. And I said, okay, great. And I started driving. And then they said, the one guy says to the other, I really hate white people in this city. And I kind of turned around and said, wait, what? And we had a back and forth. I said, I'd ask you to take that back. I find that offensive. And I was polite about it because I'm on the job. You were working at the dealership with me at that time.
Yes, I was in the car with you. But
You were an admin. You were working in the offices at the dealership at the time. We'd just been married for a couple of years at that point. Yeah. And I got written up at work because they called and complained. And I said to my boss, what am I supposed to say when I'm in a car and they're saying that white people are the problems in this town?
Yeah, he said white people are the ones that are ruining the
city. That are ruining the city. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And I said, you can't say that. This is my town.
Yeah.
You can't.
Who are you? You came here.
Yeah. It was insane. Let me get caught up in the chat here. Let's get caught up.
You're
in the
ignoring too many people.
I live in a small town, Thornby, Alberta, about 1,100 population. Strange how houses, etc., for sale here usually start with Remax, the local realtor, but it changed to an India realtor a week later. I mean, again, it goes all over the place.
Yeah.
It's like that in other, like some of our searches, like when we're looking in places like St. Albert, start to go into Northwest Edmonton. And as soon as it gets into Northwest Edmonton, it's all East Indian realtors. And it's always secondary suites in the basements. Like
All of the new
all the
builds?
houses, all of them. And I keep saying, if we buy that house, I'll gut the kitchen out of it because I'm not making a suite.
No,
But it's, I mean, the realtor that we have, I mean, she's fantastic.
she is.
But she keeps saying it's too much work to get rid of these suites. But that really narrows down what you can look at for a home.
Yeah.
Mystical saying they're free to go back if they hate us so much. Yes.
Yeah, we're not locking them here.
10% for repeat buyers, 5% for first time. Yes, but that's down payment at the time of purchase, not when you make an offer. That was the weird thing. So like I asked the realtor, so our realtor, we have two realtors. We have the one in Calgary and then the one in Spruce Grove. Both of them are the same company. The Calgary realtor thinks our house will go within 72 hours, he said. I mean, this sells the house, right? They want a celebrity house. I'm kidding. They want Mrs. Fringe's house. That's what they're getting.
Embarrassed now.
That's what they're getting. No, he thinks 72 hours. It's a hot market. But I said to our realtor, like, so if we place an offer once we list, we should have conditions met within 4 or 5 days.
Mhm.
So they'd have their money anyways. Like, I don't understand the problem. It's crazy. It's crazy they do it. Unless you're Blackfoot and you didn't come from here either. Even the Cree and other nations are immigrants where you live. So what are you talking about? I always love these woke comments. Like, I got into it with your cousin one year on Canada Day, because on Canada Day, he was talking about how this is all genocidal and it's all everything else. Look, I'm the sins of the father. I'm not going to pay for mistakes that people made hundreds of years ago. That's not on me. I was born in Canada when Canada was a country. I was born a Canadian citizen on this land that we pay taxes on. And that's the other thing that gets me so mad whenever people mention First Nations. They get money from us, from our tax dollars. If you've ever been to a reservation, like the bad ones, they abuse their women, they abuse animals, they live in squalor.
Children, yeah.
And a lot of that's on the head of the band leaders who don't provide the proper resources for those reserves. Again, you're talking to a guy from Manitoba. I've seen some sketchy reserves. And I definitely think that's on the band leaders, not the people. But what I'm talking about is that we give them money. The government gives them money for their land and tells them, you don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to have jobs. That's your own space.
That's your land to make your own laws.
We've made up more than what is fair for bad deals that were done hundreds of years ago. It's the same as people in the United States saying, well, George Washington owned slaves, so you should pay for that for the rest of your life. I wasn't around when those things happened. We're talking about hundreds of years ago. Sorry.
That was the common thing then.
If you want to blame anybody for taking the land from the Indigenous, blame the English, the British, the French that came over here and stripped the land from them, right? Like, and that's the funny thing. Whenever anybody says, oh, you live on a country founded on genocide, it was founded on genocide by the British. So how is that my fault, right? Am I the only one who thinks that's crazy? I hate it when people say those things. Well, you're technically from somewhere else too. So our doors should just be open and Prajeet and his friends should be allowed to come here and poop on our beaches. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. It's definitely dependent on the reservation, but yes, unfortunately, there are many that screw over their own while blaming everyone else to excuse bad behavior. Yes. And again, I feel for them. I mean, your mom adopted 2 Indigenous girls.
And they were from Winnipeg.
From Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And I mean, like we've seen, so first off, before anybody calls me a racist, it's not one of those, only we can say that word, but it's, no. But look, we have Indigenous heritage in our background. It's not racist. We're talking about factual things that happen on reserves. I'm not saying that it's perfect for them, but I'm also saying that we're still paying for the mistakes of others from hundreds of years ago, and we weren't here for those things. We weren't
When will those debts be paid?
That's my point, is when is enough enough? And when do we say, okay, we've more than paid for multiple generations over generations over generations of reparations? If they want more land, well, Canada's pretty abundant in it. Give them some more land, but have conditions. Your people have to get proper drinking water. Your people have to have adequate living spaces and accommodations. Your people have to have the ability to be employed and have jobs. Once we give you this land, the government is no longer going to give you money. We're going to give you the resources you need, the tools you need. You can,
Which there are some that have done that. They've taken their benefits from the government and have established themselves and stopped taking the payments, right?
yeah.
I know you're reading chat.
Robin saying, so tired of hearing the word racist being thrown around.
Oh,
Look, it happens all the time.
you get called racist cis male all the time.
Oh, it's society.
You took my spot. You're racist.
First Nations are taking the tax money and buying back the land from the government. Fair enough. Let them do whatever they like. They have the right. I'm just saying that
the debt needs to be paid at some point.
Logically, India owes Europe for slavery there. Well, yeah, absolutely. It's just, what I'm saying is that, look, I'm not here to talk the politics of who should have what, for the government taking land, for what happened hundreds of years ago. What I'm saying is that I really hate it when people come in and say, well, you're technically from somewhere else too. I was born on this land. I was born in Canada. Okay. So no, I didn't come from somewhere else. I pay my taxes. I have a Canadian passport. I'm a Canadian citizen. I should be protected by the Charter of Rights that was installed when my country became a confederacy. That's, if you want to say it was founded on genocide, yes, but blame the British. Canadians didn't steal the land from the Indigenous. The British did. The Crown did. The French did. That, I mean, it happened in the United States too. Most of the so-called wrongdoings to natives isn't cut and dried as modern education tells it. I get that. Again, we're arguing semantics here. I was trying to prove a point. I'm not gonna go back and forth on everything here. You're a human being. Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms protects all humans regardless of your personal views. Not if you're under Trudeau's government, it doesn't.
Nope.
I don't know when the last time you thought the Canadian Charter protected you. It doesn't protect anything. We're all trying to accept and overcome with this BS. You're not racist. Thank you. I appreciate that. I saw Derek chiming in there, or Reg, sorry. When the natives get money, they spend it in Canada and not sending it to another country. That's true as well.
Yeah.
They're not sending it out. They're not outsourcing. I mean, DMAC saying, I have elders in Northern Manitoba to help me, and I'm like, I get it. Again, our family was tied to Indigenous, and there was no, look, we go over to our local reservation all the time because they actually operate on their own businesses. They welcome people in from all of the surrounding communities. They're very friendly.
Yeah.
And there's never any discussion about white people or Indigenous or anything else. Everybody's just there. Everybody's just a person. There is nothing like that. It's what I'm talking about are the ones that bring it up. Mystical saying Costco. Yes, we go for the Costco.
The Costco and the gas.
the cheap fuel. It is a bonus. But Master Snatch saying Trudeau uses the Charter of Rights as toilet paper. I don't know if he does. Does he even wipe? Do you think he wipes, or do you think?
Probably no. He uses our tax money.
I think he gives Jugmeat Singh a bottle of water and uses his face as a bidet. That's my guess. He says,
"Oh my god."
That's and DMAX said, yes, we're all the same human. Yes,
people are people.
People, yeah. What we're talking about that we got so misconstrued off topic was immigration. Talking about immigration into Canada
way in the world.
From other, God, it really, things really exploded and got out of hand. A brick killed a guy.
Oh my
There's an Anchorman reference for you. Speaking of movies, you brought something to my attention.
I did.
Let's get off of bidets with Jagmeet Singh.
So I read a couple articles this week.
Mrs. Fringe brings some crazy things to my attention throughout the week. You guys want to see a doozy? You talk about woke and crazy rules going on. I was talking about this with Master of Snatch last night. You guys ever heard of this? I know it's a small company, but have you ever heard of this company called Disney?
Yeah.
Good old Disney. I know Christian Freeland always wants everybody to cancel their Disney Plus. You want to hear something crazy when it comes to lawsuits? Disney is now arguing a wrongful death suit that should be tossed because the plaintiff signed up for a Disney Plus trial. This is insanity. Now, I don't want to do a video on this because I don't think it's worthy of a video. Look, you bring up some really weird stuff to me, and I sit there going, this can't be real.
I know it amazes me. It's like I have to send it right over to you.
And then you send me the link, and it's like, oh, for crying out loud, this is real. I can't believe this is the world we live in. So here we go. Let's get into the article. Does signing up for Disney's popular streaming service mean that you have agreed to never sue the entertainment giant over anything forever? This is what Disney argues in a wrongful death lawsuit involving a 42-year-old New York doctor whose family claims had a fatal allergic reaction after eating at an Irish pub in Disney Springs in October.
So the gist of it is Disney Springs is owned by Disney, and they lease out their buildings and stuff to different restaurants and stores and stuff. So this 42-year-old doctor ate at one of the pubs, died from allergic reaction, and their Disney lawyers are saying because he signed up for a 1-month Disney trial, it's null and void because in the terms and conditions.
It says that you cannot sue Disney for it. So we're going to get into that. Disney is asking a Florida court to dismiss a lawsuit brought against it by Jeffrey Piccolo, the husband of Kanakporn Tangzuan, a family medicine specialist with NYU Langland's office in Long Island. The company argues Piccolo had agreed to settle any lawsuits against Disney out of court through the arbitration process when he signed up for a 1-month trial of Disney Plus in 2019 and acknowledged that he had reviewed the fine print. Quote, in the terms of use, which were provided with the subscriber agreement to Disney Plus, they include a binding arbitration clause, the company wrote in this motion. The first page of the subscriber agreement states in all capital letters that any dispute between you and us, except for small claims, is subject to a class action waiver and must be resolved by an individual binding arbitration. So this gentleman passed away from eating at Disney. And Disney saying, well, you took a 1-month trial of Disney Plus and agreed to those terms and conditions.
And then being on the Disney parks, you signed into the app, which also has the same clause.
Same clause that if anything happens, you can't sue them. So this man he told people at the restaurant, don't make this item. Apparently he's allergic. Don't put it in there. They said, no problem. Turns out it was in there. The guy gets unalived. And now Disney says, hey, we're not going to do anything about it. I mean, sorry, I don't mean to laugh at the misfortunes of another person. But it's just insane. It blows my mind. This is the world we're in now.
And how many people sign up for Disney Plus or even this app and nobody reads terms and conditions?
What would a movie site have to do with dying? Really crazy.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. It's absolutely insane. I just can't. I've spent many hours finding the ways we can out Trudeau and end the Singh Trudeau axis of weasels. Many Canadians have. In relation to the app, not the food that got them. I don't really know what's being said there. I mean, I see a lot of people saying they don't watch Disney and everything. I get it. I understand. I just found it really funny. But then you forwarded me another article. It gets crazier.
Sorry. This is a good one.
We've talked about gender ideology. We've talked about all these crazy transitioning stories, kids getting medications and surgeries that they shouldn't be getting. And now it's just hit a new level of crazy that I can't even describe. A new level of wokeness. This is the problem where I always say it's give an inch, take a mile. An article went out this week that my wife sent to me. Humans could become extinct unless we change sex as we know it. The humble Y chromosome may seem simple, but it's responsible for determining the male sex. The bad news, it's degenerating in humans and may disappear in a few million years, which could lead to our extinction. That is, some experts warn, unless we evolve a new sexual gene fast. The issue with the Y chromosome has been decaying since it was first formed some 180 million years ago, most likely thanks to inversions, where the segment breaks off and reattaches within the same chromosome, but in reverse orientation. In other words, the more bad mutations the Y chromosome accumulates, the smaller it gets over time, forcing it to lose 97% of its ancestral genes. They go into why it's shrunk so much.
So we're going to lose men, and we need to come up with a new sex.
We're going to lose men. Men are going the way of the dinosaur. Even if the Y chromosome does disappear, that doesn't herald the end of humanity. Instead, humans could evolve a new sex-determining gene, just as those in moles and rats did. Still, such a process isn't without its risks.
I identify as.
So we've gone from identifying to saying we should just play science and start experimenting with our genetics to find a new sex. To not only identify,
that will go really well.
We don't want to just identify in certain ways. We want to completely flip it upside down on its head and say, let's make something other than a man or a woman. Let's just make something crazy. Frankenstein humans.
Oh, could you imagine what it could be? Oh, the choices we have.
It's there. I saw it, JD. Oh my God, I'm done. Send the meteor. Yes. Right? Like, Mrs. Fringe sends me these articles, and I might be in the middle of the kids screaming and fighting with each other, or, people yelling at me for money or something. And then all of a sudden, like, this pops up on my phone. Man unalives at Disney because he ate something and he can't sue them. And then this comes up and it's like, wait, what are we doing now? Where are we living?
We need to make our own world.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yes.
If you haven't seen Idiocracy,
I think you brought this up.
Go and watch it.
Yeah.
Go and watch it because it really is a sign of the times.
My mom said it 10 years ago when we watched it. It's coming very true.
It's absolutely superfluous to me that people are just so far off the scales. All right, with the $2 super chat, we're earthworms and get sex with ourselves. There we go. Kenzie saying, I keep meaning to watch it. It's such a good movie. It really is a good depiction. So Mike Judge, if you've ever watched Office Space, Mike Judge, the guy who made Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, he made Office Space. He wrote and directed Idiocracy. It's essentially about Luke Wilson going in some military experiment where he's supposed to be frozen for a year in sustained or suspended animation to see if they can preserve humans by putting them on ice.
The most average of the average
people. He didn't have any existing family members. There was nobody tied. So if he died during the experiment, it wasn't a loss.
His smarts, he was so average.
He was very average.
Yeah.
So essentially something happens in the lab. He's forgotten about for, what is it? Almost
1,000 years.
Is it? I think it's more than 1,000 years.
Yeah.
I think it's somewhere around 5,000 years or something. And humanity has evolved to being so stupid that they have like Gatorade in their drinking fountains. Everything's bought at Costco. Like, they walk into Costco and the greeters are there and they're like, welcome to Costco, I love you. Like, it's just everybody's stupid. And it's just so definitive as to where humanity is actually headed. Terry Crews is the president. Macho Camacho. I mean, it's such a good movie. It's just, Mystical says Terry Crews for pres. Absolutely. Like, if we get Macho Camacho for president, I'd take him over Donald Trump. 100%. I would take him over Donald Trump. With Idiocracy, the director wanted the shoes people wore to be something that no one would ever wear. And the shoe was, I had no idea. I had no idea. Um, it's crazy. What's even more crazy, we talked this week about Justin Trudeau having his party quit on him. We should get into some Trudeau stuff because, again, I did beg the question: has too much damage been caused to the country to repair it? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. But yeah, you could have asked me that like
Are-
6 months ago, and I would have given you the same answer.
We're FUBAR.
We are a little bit.
It
Yeah,
doesn't matter
for
what
sure.
Pierre does. We're FUBAR.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think that we've got David Lametti's riding coming up in Quebec.
Hmm.
A lot of people thinking that's going to go to the Bloc, that it won't go Conservative. But either way, if the Liberals lose that seat, it's damning to Justin Trudeau. The pressure's been on him all summer to either address his caucus or step down, which he's done neither of. You've actually got MPs now threatening to quit if he doesn't step down, because some of them don't just want to get their pensions and leave. Some of them want their careers.
And he is so freaking high on himself. He gives two shits. Like he's not gonna quit.
Jocelyn, you look like a very happy couple. We're good at putting on a
It's
show.
all show.
We're good at making it look that way. That's, I don't know, almost 20 years of marriage. I think we're there. I think we made it. It's been a good run. Mystical saying Montreal's fallen. Two Flip saying he's a dictator. He's never stepping down.
No.
That's so. What's funny about that is that I don't think he'll step down so much as being pushed out the door. And I know that rules were changed within the Liberal Party to exempt the party from kicking Trudeau out. But if the pressure's there, if he can't do it, if he's getting heckled in the streets, if he's getting heckled,
But if he's the only one that can remove himself, he's not going to do it.
what you have to realize is that if MPs are threatening to resign and step down, it's just as good as him quitting. Because every time one of them steps down, like David Lametti, guess what? That's another by-election that has to happen, right? It's just going to get worse and worse and worse as time goes on, as he drags out this election. If they were to have these by-elections and continue to lose seats, whether it be to any other party other than the Liberals, how does Justin Trudeau go into the next election guaranteeing Canada that he has what it takes to remain as Prime Minister? That's why I'm saying he doesn't even need to step down and he's finished. He's not even going to have the staying power to put forward the plans he wants to between now and the next election. People say he can do a lot of damage before the next election. If he loses a lot of his MPs, he's not going to have the opportunities because, again, he can be outvoted in the House of Commons. Now, there were speculative rumors going around. The pleb was saying there's rumor that the Bloc, NDP, and Liberals are going to form like a uniparty to essentially outclass the Conservatives.
Do you think the NDP would really go against Trudeau?
No, I'm saying Trudeau, the NDP, and the Bloc would combine into one like mega party, kind of like Power Rangers. They all form
that would not be good.
Mega Trudeau, and then they essentially could outrank the Conservatives, even if the Conservatives got a majority of the seats in the next election. I don't think that's going to happen. Trudeau's probably going to be replaced by another puppet. Well, carbon tax Carney. Right? Mark Carney, they're talking about him coming in. Sun is causing the Earth to warm to a couple degrees. We're out of orbit. Who would believe that? Well, it's funny because if you saw today's video, Chrystia Freeland was caught back in 2014 propping up oil and gas, just like Jody Gondek used to do before she was mayor of Calgary.
Yeah.
Talking about how there's an abundance of oil and gas and that we should be using it. In fact, she was interviewing other representatives within petroleum saying that, look, we can find other renewable resources for energy, but that's going to take time, and that we should acknowledge oil and gas is detrimental to our way of life, that we need it, but we need to use it responsibly. I've agreed with that from day one.
Yeah, but she's a puppet and she'll say whatever she is being paid to say.
But especially because Alberta has some of the cleanest practices in the world for extracting oil and getting liquid natural gas to the markets. Like, does that not make sense? Like you worked in LNG projects. You've seen how safe it is, how secure it is.
Amazing, yeah.
I mean, this is what Justin Trudeau missed an opportunity on. What I think he missed an opportunity on, instead of hating Alberta, was to tell other countries in the world, you should be taking Alberta's practices. You should be fracking oil the way we do, because it's clean and responsible. Research new technologies. That happens all the time. I mean, think about steam power. Now we're coal power. I mean, things have evolved over decades and centuries. We're always unraveling new technologies. Of course, we'll move on from oil and gas at some point, but we're not there yet.
No, and we shouldn't be preparing to move away from it until we are.
Saying 2050, putting a label on it, I mean, that's just reckless. Here's a dime for every like as of right now. Let's go for 1,000 likes for next Friday for $100. Carson, thank you so much for the $30.70 super chat. Man of his word. There's a man of integrity. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Where are we here? If Trudeau's gaslighting could be harnessed, it could power the entire world. Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely. You know what? That is a good one.
We need to use that one.
That was a good one. J-By saying, I was shocked he turned down the request from the German chancellor for LNG. That again is another missed opportunity.
Yep.
LNG, very easy to transport. Again, we have the cleanest practices for it in the world. Pierre Poilievre said it in a recent interview that if we're getting our oil from our coal use from other countries like China, from the Middle East, we're not like, even as much as we talk about reducing our carbon footprint, we're not actually reducing anything because we're just taking it from somewhere else. It's coming over here. At the end of it, we're contributing over there. So ideally what you want to do is give technologies to these other countries and encourage them to reduce their use and reduce their carbon footprints. And again, we've both said it for a long time. Get China and India to reduce their carbon footprints, to have a carbon tax, to
Yeah, we're like, what, 1%?
We're 0 point something percent
Yeah.
of the carbon emissions in the entire world.
Yeah.
If you get India and China to change their ways, I'll get on board. Until then, get the Paris Accords out of here. Mass immigration also increases CO2 emissions. There you go. We are being plundered, says Priority Target. I agree. No carbon equals no life. Absolutely, Gil. It is necessary. Wef's talking about toxin water and air next. Yep. It's going to get crazy. When I was living in the Philippines, Trudeau came 3 times in 18 months and then went home empty-handed every time.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are carbon.
We are carbon. Oh my goodness. Carbon tax is the hugest scam that has gone undefeated and is running us into the floor. So essentially what Chrystia Freeland admitted in that video was the whole thing is a scam. It's all brought on by rich oil tycoons that
well, we know that all
we
of this
all
is
know
filling somebody's pocket.
We all know it's filling pockets, but what she's essentially said is there's an overabundance, that our carbon footprint essentially isn't as bad as the other parts of the world, that we shouldn't be as concerned about it, and rather we should be, and again, and this was in 2014, she was saying we should be getting our products to market. We should be leading the industry. Now, it's funny that as soon as Justin Trudeau comes and knocks on your door, your opinions suddenly shift. I mean, we all know where Chrystia Freeland came from.
Yeah.
And when I say she came from Alberta, I'm not talking about Alberta. Sometimes if you asked Chrystia Freeland for direction, she'd probably say, you got to go that way, if you know what I mean. That's good old Chrystia Freeland for you. Priority Target says, we're living through the largest heist in humanity's history. They are taking our stuff and leaving us dead. That's the problem. And that's, again, where I asked the question at the beginning of the stream. Is it too late? Are we past the point of no return? Are we completely FUBAR? I guess I'm naive when it comes to things. I try to look at glass half full and say, maybe we still have hope. Maybe there's...
Try to think of the positive versus the negative.
Yeah. It takes a lot of liquor to get there.
It really does.
I'll tell you.
It takes more and more every day.
It's crazy. 4-foot fascist Freeland. There we go. David says we're past the point. Yes, a lot of people feel we're past the point. There are recordings of authorities using the same fear tactics back in the 50s. Yes, I've seen those. I've seen those videos showing those. Totally agree. With the carbon tax money that Trudeau has got, we could have built and bought water bombers for our forest fires. Well, that's where I say if the government cared about zero emissions in Canada and making the environment better, they would have had those things on hand. They would have had those resources
From
available.
last summer, they would have known it was going to happen again.
Yep. If they were so concerned, but they're not. It's all a show. Oh, yeah, no, I don't think so, Daphne. That's a good one. I'm not reading that one out loud. Watching trains go by, we are foobarred if we keep believing in the trap they set us up. False hope of voting our way out of it. The problem, again, is the migration. Like, if we're getting people in here who can vote or who are allowed to vote, influence the votes, the people who want change aren't going to get the change. And again, this is part of what resulted in my run for mayor. We looked at the demographics. We looked at the numbers. With my kind of attitude and leaning on this city, I was told that it's next to impossible. Next to impossible. I didn't want to waste people's money. The city's gone woke. Calgary has gone woke. It's fallen. It's lost. I hate saying it like that because I love Calgary. We've been here. I've been here 30 years. You've been here almost 40.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to leave. If we had it our way, I don't think you'd want to leave either.
No.
But it's just so far beyond driven that it's fallen to woke ideologies and the left. Selected, not elected, rather injected is what a lot of those mayors are. It's crazy. This is again where I've said, a small town, if we live in a place like Stony Plain, their town council are all in their offices every day of the week because it's a small town council. So if I've got a problem with something going on, I can go into their office and demand answers. I can actually go and physically get a response from somebody. If I live in Calgary and I go to City Hall and say, I want to talk to my councilor or my representative, it's send them an email. They'll never get back to you. They'll never talk to you.
They
And
probably won't even read it.
They won't acknowledge you.
Calgary was a great city, an amazing city. And then it changed.
They won't get back to you unless, of course, it's election season and they're worried about their votes. They always come crawling out of the woodwork.
But they'll give you some BS excuse just to shut you up until the meantime.
So Jeanette's saying, I would have voted for you 100%. I get it. But the problem was that we looked at the demographics of the city. The problem is, like, we've had, if you guys remember, there was a Bill Smith who ran for mayor in the last election against Jody Gondek alongside Kevin Farkas. Or Jeremy Farkas. I always say Kevin Farkas because I know a Kevin Farkas. Jeremy Farkas was running and poised to win. He was poised to win. But you've got the migrant vote, we'll say, in the northeast sector of Calgary that support their own. This is what I was talking about at the beginning of stream about management jobs that only hire Indian workers. None of them care about the politics. None of them care about their plan. None of them care about what they're promising. They just know she's half Indian. We'll vote for her. She's Kalistani. Put her in office. They all get out and vote in droves.
I had so many family who voted because she was a woman.
Right?
They didn't care what her.
We asked. Remember, we asked what part of her what part of her campaign.
Yeah.
Are you most fond of? Oh, I didn't listen to any of her campaign or any of her.
She's a woman.
She's just a woman. She's a woman. I wanted a woman mayor.
And look where it got us.
So that's again where we looked at all those demographics, the statistics. I had people who have planned campaigns looking at everything with me.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew what they were doing. And they were the ones who told me to get in. But they started to look at the numbers and said, it's a vanity project if you want to run. You'll still get votes. You'll still get a lot of uproar. You'll at best, you'll raise some awareness. But you're not going to get the job. I'd be happy to raise awareness.
And the mayor in Stony Plain owns the best Chinese food restaurant.
Oh, I hope not.
I am in.
I hope not, or else they're going to hear from me. It's all right with a $2 super chat. Danielle will answer to the party at the AGM. Oh, yeah, we talked about Danielle earlier. Um, the problem is that I'm happy to raise awareness, but I can do that on YouTube. I didn't want to waste money. I didn't want to waste people's money, businesses' money at a time where people are at the end of their ropes. It would
Yeah.
not be fiscally responsible to say, for the purpose of my own hubris, I'm going to stand up and run for mayor. I'm going to put my family on display, fight an impossible fight. Although it would have been fun. It would have been fun to attack Gondek verbally. It would have been fun to, raise a stink. But we can do that on YouTube. And it doesn't cost the taxpayers money to fund me to do that. Just, you guys who throw your super chats out. But it's just a joke. It's not what I meant. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been going for an hour and a half. It is hot in this basement with these lights.
Very hot.
It's boiling. We're going to wrap things up at that point, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a crazy stream. We kind of got sidetracked on a few things, but it was always good to have everybody. It's good to have you, and I think we should just make you a permanent staple.
We'll see.
On Friday nights. I think Mrs. Fringe is going to stick around for the long haul. Again, make sure if you guys haven't hit the subscribe button already, you hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. Turn on your bell for notifications. Again, from time to time, I'll be doing fun streams where I just kind of chill out, hang out with you guys. We do a chill and chat about once a week. We'll be getting into those things at some point after the move. I think we'll get into your segments and we'll get you doing a couple of videos every once in a while on the channel talking about certain issues, maybe people at Disney, kicking tail or where our next experimental drugs are coming from. Who knows where it's going to go. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes peeled to the channel this weekend. I have more content coming your way. And again, boy, do I have some doozies for you coming up in the week. We're almost at 40,000 subscribers. I can't believe we're almost there.
Amazing.
Absolutely. I'd love to get there by Halloween. We'll see if we can make that happen here on the channel. If you haven't hit the subscribe yet, make sure you hit subscribe. Join us here on the channel for regular videos all week long, as well as our weekly live streams. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in all of them. Have a great night. What's this Wallflower? Silly question. I saw a silly question I want to answer. Have you any pinball games? There's a pinball machine right behind me, right behind Mrs. Fringe, digital pinball. I've got about 300 tables on there. So yeah, I do have pinball
Just a few.
games. Just a couple. Hope you guys have a great night. Hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay away from the government and get some drinking water if you can. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.